I am Sharon Chirwa and I welcome you to another edition of Business Time right here on Times Television, proudly brought to you by Skyband. This is a magazine program in which we look at some of the major business stories happening in Malawi and beyond. Coming up in the program today, Malawi Stock Exchange bullish in 2018. Malawi records $1.4 billion investment pledges in 2018. We have these and other stories. Stay tuned.
Now you can access the Daily Times, Malawi News, and the Sunday Times newspapers anytime, anywhere, by the click of a mouse or a swipe on your smartphone. With eTimes, right on your mobile gadget. Flip through the pages with a swipe or a click. Navigate through all pages and see clear pictures and designs. Access a database of previous papers of the Daily Times, Malawi News, and the Sunday Times. Easy. Subscribe now to eTimes. Go to www.times.mw/e-edition. Sign up and log in. Enter your password and enjoy the newspaper. It's about time.
The Malawi Stock Exchange was bullish in 2018 as both volumes and value surged. This could be a sign that investors continue to have confidence in the market. Our reporter Taonga Sabola caught up with MEC Chief Executive Officer John Kamanga for details on the performance of the market in 2018.
The year 2018 has come to an end. How could you describe the performance of the market in the year 2018?
Thank you, Taonga. The market has performed quite well in 2018. We have seen that the return on investments has gone up by about 34%. And if you compare to US dollar terms, it's about 33%. That it entails in terms of the performance of the market. Also in terms of the number of counters, these are the number of listed companies which have experienced a price gain. We have seen that 11 counters have experienced a price gain, whereby we have one starting at around 9.84%, ending up with the Blantyre Hotels, which is at about 141%. And then in terms of volume, we've also seen the volume also going up. The volume has gone up by about 37%. And if you look in terms of the value per se, in kwacha terms, it has also gone up. Especially the value is about 260% in kwacha terms, while in US dollar terms it's around 253%. So in summation, one would say that the market has performed quite well to the benefit of investors in 2018, because if you look at the return on investments of about 34% is already way above the inflation, which we have closed at around 10.1%. That in itself, it gives a positive real return on the investments in terms of to the investors, as well as actually in terms of trading activity. We have seen number of deals have also gone up by about 81%. What has this signifies that we have now moved away from the wholesale aspect, whereby in the past we used to have the wholesale trading, but with the launch of the automation in June, we have gone in terms of actually retail, that is individual by individual basis, which is actually traded through interlinkages with what we call the Central Securities Depository System, which is sitting at the Reserve Bank. That in itself has also helped us in terms of increasing the trading activities on the stock market, whereby level of trades have gone up by about 81%.
And mid this year, we also saw the introduction of the automation system. How have investors embraced this new system?
In fact, we had some challenges during the first 2 or 3 weeks. However, with the time, most of the investors have come to understand the benefit of the automation, in the sense that it has built in an element of confidence. It has also built in an element of actually fast trading, because currently we're able to know, and then the investors are able to follow. Once they come to our dealing floor, they're able to watch in terms of the movement of prices. Once one actually punches in the price, they can instantly see in terms of actually the price movement on a counter by counter basis, and since this is on a real-time basis, so that has brought in an element of confidence, and to the other extent that it has also reduced some systematic risk within the market, whereby issues of defaced certificates, they are no longer there because now it is paperless. Issues of fraud, they have also been reduced because currently there is actually, it has to be through the CSD as well as the easy trade at the Malawi Stock Exchange. That in itself, it has also enhanced our surveillance on the stock market. So we're able to detect any wrongdoing in terms of price manipulation, as well as actually somebody who doesn't own the shares, because all these, they are now electronically housed in the CSD.
And looking at the bond market, how could you describe the performance of the bond market in the year?
The performance of the stock market, of the bond market, has been quite low. What has happened is that because of the dryness in the assets within the capital market, most of the bonds were taken up by institutional investors, to the extent that they haven't been actually coming to the market for the secondary trading. Because if you look at in terms of the funds under management or the assets under management under the capital markets, especially the pension and insurance company, we're talking about in excess of about 690 or to 695 billion. And all these, they're looking for avenues of investments. And the capital market is actually one of the priority investment sector for the pension funds if they're looking at the long-term aspect. And currently they're sitting in excess of about 34 to 35% of those assets under the capital market. And therefore, it becomes quite problematic for the fund managers to disinvest in the capital market, either in equity or bond, and go into the money market. That it gives an element of a mismatch in terms of actually their investment horizon, because the investment horizon on the fund manager, especially on pension, is long term, and therefore they cling in terms of holding to the bonds, they cling in terms of holding to the equity. That's why we've seen that there have been low participation in terms of actually trading activity on the bond, because most of them, they're being held by institutional investors who have taken up the long-term horizon aspect.
And I remember mid-2017, the Malawi Stock Exchange organized a meeting to try to attract new players to invest, to bring their companies on the market, including small and medium enterprises. Did this yield any results?
In fact, the inquiries have been quite confirmative in terms of actually the business development exercise which have undertaken, and some have come up with confirmed inquiries in terms of how best they can access the capital market so that they can raise capital. And we are still actually negotiating with, especially on small and medium enterprise, such that at least they can also access, because some have actually shown an element of interest coming to the stock market, especially on the bond, I would say the fixed income route. That in itself, so I would say, in terms of confirmative inquiries, yes, we're making actually headway. It's a matter of actually time. You know, listing is a process. It's not that at least you can switch there and then, but most customers or clients whom we have visited, they have shown interest, and they have actually also appreciated the benefits they can realize by coming to the stock market. Because through these business development initiatives, we have actually outlined some empirical evidence in terms of those who have benefited on the stock market, and we have seen some companies who have benefited, and those who have used them as actually pioneers to the general public and those potential companies, so that they can also benefit on the stock market by listing those companies and then raise the needed capital for their business growth.
And looking at 2019 now, how does it look in terms of the Malawi Stock Exchange?
In terms of 2019, we're looking at it with lots of positivism, in the sense that we'll be opening the year with an equity listing. You know, we have just actually done the prospectus, which was approved both by the Malawi Stock Exchange as well as the Reserve Bank on the Icon Properties, and they have gone to the public in terms of raising 14 billion. And this actually is going to bring in lots of excitement on the stock market, in the sense that in the first month of 2019, we'll be listing one of these giant, and it's a record breaking in the history of Malawi Stock Exchange, to realize and raise 14 billion on the Malawi Stock Exchange by issuing an equity to the general public through an IPO. So what I would say that 2019 is quite we're looking at it is painting a very good picture, in the sense that there will be another company in the telecom industry which has also shown an interest, and we have had inquiries from them, and we have actually responded in terms of the confirmed inquiries which they are making on how they can access the stock market, and they have already started appointing advisors, and within the first half of 2019 we should be having another company listed on the Malawi Stock Exchange. That in itself, it signifies confidence. That in itself, it signifies an element of excitement in the stock market for the benefit of our investors. You know, Taonga, when we talk about the stock market, we are looking at areas on how can we create opportunities for the investors. And within that element, you find that we are able to create those opportunities in the sense that these companies, they will be in a position to raise capital at relatively low cost. As they are raising those capital, they will be putting into productive investment area. As they put into productive investment areas, you'll find that there's going to be an element of creation of jobs. There's going to be an element of creation of wealth to the general public. And all this is done to improve the economic status being of a human being.
The United States Agency for International Development, Southern Africa Trade and Investment Hub, in conjunction with the Malawi Confederation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry, has organized a workshop for businesses exporting to the U.S. MCCCI Head of Communications, Millie Kasunda, said the training is slated for January 23rd in Blantyre. Kasunda said the training will focus on requirements regarding the U.S. government's Food and Drug Administration. Kasunda explains to our reporter, Florence Magoa.
So the Southern Africa Trade and Investment Hub, it's based in South Africa, and the Malawi Confederation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry, we have organized a training seminar on the 23rd of January 2019 at the Crossroads Hotel in Blantyre, where we would like to create awareness to companies that would like to export to the U.S. under the African Growth and Opportunity Act, to know the requirements of entry to the U.S. market. And you would see that this training is going to focus on the Food and Drug Administration, and also it's going to focus on the Food Safety Modernization Act and the Foreign Supplier Verification Program, and other tips on exporting food and products to the U.S. So as you may wish to know, that Malawi has not fully utilized the AGOA initiative, because maybe most of the companies that are exporting to the US are not aware of the requirements that are required for them, to be fulfilled before they export. So most of the times their products are returned because they didn't follow the requirements, because the strategy, the Malawian strategy under the AGOA, they identified products that can be exported to the US, and you'd see that the products that were identified are in the food category, and these are, for example, macadamia nuts, for example, honey, sugarcane. So they are all under food. And that's why it is very important for companies to follow the requirements that are supposed to be, followed when they are exporting to the US, especially when they're exporting food items. The US is a big economy in the world, and we ought to trade with it. And it is also, very crucial for Malawi, because the US government offered some African countries to export to the US, without tariffs, without, paying, and that's why we have the initiative. So it is very crucial for Malawi to make sure that we utilize the initiative fully before it phases out. And it seems like we haven't, done that. So this training is very crucial for companies that would like to export to the US and those who have potential to export to the US to know the requirements, because we want companies in Malawi to benefit from this initiative, and we want their products, when they are sent to the US, not to be returned. So we are targeting companies that manufacture food items. Any company that manufactures food items and they have the potential to export to the US, or they just want to learn how they can do that, they are welcome to come at the Crossroads Hotel and attend the training and benefit from the tips and the information that will be shared at the training.
Remember, this is Business Time on Times Television, proudly brought to you by Skyband. Still to come, Malawi attracts $1.4 billion investment pledges in 2018. We'll be back in 60 seconds.
Now you can access the Daily Times, Malawi News, and the Sunday Times newspapers anytime, anywhere, by the click of a mouse or a swipe on your smartphone. With eTimes, right on your mobile gadget. Flip through the pages with a swipe or a click. Navigate through all pages and see clear pictures and designs. Access a database of previous papers of the Daily Times, Malawi News, and the Sunday Times. Easy. Subscribe now to eTimes. Go to www.times.mw/e-edition. Sign up and log in. Enter your password and enjoy the newspaper. It's about time.
The Malawi Investment and Trade Center, MITC, recorded investment pledges worth $1.49 billion, which is about 1.1 trillion kwacha in 2018 from 105 companies that were issued with investment certificates. The value of the pledges is 250% high than the $400 million recorded from 42 firms in 2017. More in this report.
The value of the pledges is 250% higher than the $400 million recorded from 9 firms in 2017. MITC spokesperson Delibe Chimbalu attributed the development to a number of projects in the energy sector that are of high value.
We have managed to record investment pledges worth about 1.4 billion. This is a big jump from what we recorded in the previous year, that is 2017, where we had about 400 billion investment pledges. This jump can be attributed to the fact that in 2018 we had investment projects in the energy sector from about 9 companies that are interested to invest in our energy sector. This sector is characterized by high value and a big capital. That's why the figures are a bit higher, because of the projects that we have in this sector. Other than that, we also have some other investors who are interested to do some projects in the agriculture and agro-processing sector. This is also one of the largest sectors that attracted high-value projects for the year 2018. In terms of the companies that we have managed to register or have managed to issue investment certificates for the year 2018, we have recorded about 105. Some of them existing companies that are already on the ground, but they are just expanding their investment levels, maybe to venture into some other sectors. But we have some that are new, and most of them are coming from their foreign companies, but we have some that are Malawian companies, others are joint ventures. So all in all, we can describe 2018 as a good year for us in terms of the pledges that we have recorded for the investment.
The investment pledges in energy amount to $785.5 million, in agriculture $339.1 million, while banking, logistical and other services were recorded at $136.5 million. Real estate investments were recorded at $100 million, and other top investments were in tourism at $57.7 million and manufacturing at $42.9 million. From Lilongwe, I am Chimomo Mangazi.
Proceeding with the program, let's look at how the Malawi kwacha is faring against the major trading currencies on the foreign exchange market. A group of small and medium enterprises, SMEs, under the National Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, NASME, are mobilizing resources to establish a sugar and sugarcane-related products manufacturing plant in the country to tap on the opportunities that lie in the business. The group has since established a steering committee for the initiative. Details in this report.
The group has since established a steering committee for the initiative. Members of the committee have elected Norman Lufesi, Adams Kalumbi and Andrina Maxwell as chairperson, secretary and treasurer respectively. Lufesi said 12 entrepreneurs have expressed interest in venturing into the initiative.
The opportunities which are there is that sugar canes grow everywhere. They grow like grass. So when they grow like grass, this is a big opportunity, so which can make the raw materials there. But what we don't have is the sugar canes doesn't attract much extension services. You just grow sugar canes. People just grow. There's nobody who is advising them to say this is the way you grow sugar canes. And after that we just harvest. And when we harvest, we harvest and eat like a snack. And at the same time we can just sell to other companies, which means that we are selling everything. Because in sugar we have a lot of carbon, and that carbon is the one which helps you to produce many things. Some of them you can produce sugar itself, you can produce electricity, you can produce even gas, and you can also produce carbon dioxide, which is very useful. But at the moment these things are scattered. We need to organize and say how best can we move with this. And the interventions which I think the government should move is to try to put all smallholders together, those with interest to manufacture sugar or other products from sugar canes. So once we have those byproducts, we can be, for example, electricity. It's only ESCOM which is producing, and Malawi has an opportunity now that someone can produce electricity and sell that electricity. You can use that opportunity to say you can produce sugar in your company and sell to ESCOM, and then you get the money. So that's a lot of opportunities which we have.
Lufesi also said the venture would produce sweets, ethanol and fertilizers. From Lilongwe, I'm Chimoyo Mangazi.
Every January, tech insiders head to Las Vegas, Nevada, where the biggest tech companies show off their latest devices at the Consumer Electronics Show. Small startups also vie for their attention at one of the largest tech gatherings of the year. Tina Trin meets up with Brooklyn startup as they prepare to head west.
I've never been in front of that type of audience before, so just the number of people is making me feel super nervous.
Megan Maupin and Sid Salvi are getting ready for one of the biggest tech shows of the year, the Consumer Electronics Show, better known as CES.
We always run out of stuff. I definitely don't want to run out of stuff at CES. I think we'll bring like at least 500 of everything.
Last year, over 180,000 attendees from around the world made their way to Las Vegas, where CES is held each year. For Megan and Sid, it's a chance to get their skincare startup Atola and its at-home test kit in front of a huge audience. The pair recently raised $38,000 through crowdfunding and are hoping to network with potential partners.
I see CES as a part of our journey is continuing to get to bigger and bigger stages. CES is a global audience and platform for us to share our vision and our brand.
That vision involves customized skin serums developed in response to self-administered tests and surveys that factor in environmental and health data.
We wanted to bring real data to help you understand your own skin. Every time you have a new issue, you feel like you're starting back at square one. So we wanted to introduce this automated feedback loop so that you continue to get the best product for you.
The duo's trip is being sponsored by their grad school, MIT, where they originally hatched the idea. Maupin understands the significance of attending, having worked at another tech startup focused on 3D printing.
CES was huge for them because not only did they launch new materials, it kind of was such a stepping stone in kind of introducing their 3D printer to the world.
This time around, it'll be their turn to show the tech world what they hope will be the next big thing. Tina Trin, VOA News, New York.
On that note, we have come to the end of Business Time right here on Times, proudly brought to you by Skyband. Until next week, I am Sharon Chira, but always remember, if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense.
Now you can access the Daily Times, Malawi News, and the Sunday Times newspapers anytime, anywhere, by the click of a mouse or a swipe on your smartphone. with eTimes right on your mobile gadget. Flip through the pages with a swipe or a click. Navigate through all pages and see clear pictures and designs. Access a database of previous papers of the Daily Times, Malawi News, and the Sunday Times. Easy. Subscribe now to eTimes. Go to www.times.mw/e-edition. Sign up and log in. Enter your password and enjoy the newspaper.